I am Vice President Jen Stevenson, and I call this meeting to order. We will start with the flag salute. It's so interesting to hear the different speeds at different campuses come out for that one. All right. I would like to welcome all the guests to the meeting, and we'd like to make a special request.
¿Hay necesidad de traducción?
Okay. If anyone ever needs headsets, raise your hand. Can you say that? If through the meeting or okay. All right, we'll get those. All right. All right, I am ready to accept a motion for approval of the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carries 3-0, and missing are Mike Garza and Lindsay Prowse were unable to attend today. All right, we will go to item B1, which is public comment. Is there anyone that has turned in for public comment? None today. All right, there is always opportunities for public comment, whether in person or through other digital methods, or even sending notes beforehand. All right, we will next go to our student and staff recognition phase for B2.
I'm going to take a cue from Jen and stand up here so I can see everybody else. It's always fun when there's more people in the room for board meetings. Tonight we're recognizing our school crossing guards. They do a really important job. So if you're a school crossing guard and got the invitation tonight, come on up here and stand up here in front where the board can see you all, please. It's a bigger crowd than I was expecting. But I'm going to have them each introduce themselves and tell you what school they go to, and then Mrs. Bice is going to come up and talk a little bit about what it takes to be a school crossing guard. But you've seen them out there. They'll be outside in the rain and the snow when it's 5 degrees or 95 degrees, helping their classmates get to school safely. And that's a big job. We've all seen how some of the folks drive on some of the roads around our schools. And they do a great job. They don't let me cross the road by myself. They make sure I always have a flagger when I'm going across the road, even in a parking lot. And they tell me if I don't follow the rules when I'm driving my car, too. So I'm going to hand the microphone off to this guy. Tell us your name and what school you go to.
Brendan Hiawatha. Kipton Hiawatha.
Grayson Hiawatha.
And what school?
Dakaga. Benjamin Summerall, Dakaga.
Amaya Hiawatha.
Blake Hiawatha. Ezra Hiawatha.
Michael Hiawatha. Kaya Hiawatha.
So good job, Hiawatha and Dakaga. I know there were others. I knew better than that. There were others who wanted to come and couldn't make it tonight, but they do an important job as well. I think each school has between 8 and 12 kids doing crossing guard duties on various days. So Mrs. Bice, if you want to come up and talk a little bit about, at least at your school, what the crossing guard job entails.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. At Dakaga, we currently have 26 members of our crossing guard. So we have 4 rotations of kids who run 3 different stations this year. We've opened up an additional crosswalk, and so for them to be part of our patrol, they fill out a permission form, and then they make sure that they're responsible, they're trustworthy, they show up committed to their patrol stations. So they're out there 10 minutes before, and they stay until 10 minutes after. They're being responsible, making sure that kids are following the rules, that they're watching out for cars, and being respectful members of the community. They're also aware that the community members are watching them, and so they want to be upstanding citizens, and so we're really proud of the work that they're doing.
So kiddos, I do have certificates for you guys, but I don't have them tonight because we didn't know how many were coming. So we're going to make sure everybody that is a crossing guard gets one, and I'll have our superintendent, Dr. Perez, and maybe if the board members could introduce themselves real quick too, so the kids know who you are.
My name is Jen Stevenson, and my kids went to Hiawatha.
I'm Ken Johnson.
Sharon Judy.
And I'm Galen Navarrete.
And then we have two more board members who are elected. Mr. Mike Garza, who's our president, who's not here tonight, and Lindsay Prowse is also not here tonight. And one more student representative, Elise Garza. She could be here tonight too. But thank you and good job. And families, you are under no obligation to stay for the rest of the meeting, but feel free to if you want.
Thank you so much, students. Ed, could we get a photo
Yeah,
with
that's what I was
everyone
just
in
gonna say.
front?
I was just going to ask.
Can you guys come up here so that we don't have the yucky screen on half of your faces and just stand in a curve in front of all of us? All of your moms and dads also want amazing photos of you.
Miss Madison, would you like to say something also?
Yes, that would be great. Grab one of the microphones, make sure it's on. You're going to have to turn it. Yep.
Hello. So I'm Madison. I work at Hiawatha. My speech isn't going to be as great as hers was, but our kids are awesome. They cross the kids safely every day, and they make me smile. They make all the students and the parents smile, so they do an awesome job, and Hiawatha is just an amazing school. We have amazing students, and I love them.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I think one student just came in. Could we have her come up to the front so we don't miss someone? And have her introduce herself, please, Ed, and then maybe take a solo photo. Name and school, please.
Hi, my name's Galen and Mitchell, and I go to Hiawatha.
Mr. Peterson, if we could redo the picture just to make sure that she's in it. Let's have all the kids come forward again, and I'll just...
Oh, I know you're so excited. Yay.
Is that what you guys say in your heads when I'm taking your pictures at school every day? Is that-
Yes. More photos from Mr. Peterson. Okay, thank you so much. All right, we're going to move on to item B3, board member discussion. I have nothing new for legislative report. NSBA National Conference. Is that you, Pete?
Yeah, I was just going to give them a moment to
Yeah.
get themselves organized. As the students and their families file out, I think it's a couple of interesting pieces of data around school safety patrol. I think this is the 100th year anniversary of AAA's program in the state of Washington for safety patrol. Started in 1922. And there are about 1.1 million students in Washington schools and only about 20,000 that participate as crossing guards. And I will tell you that they're kind of like referees in a basketball or football game. You don't recognize them much until they're not there. I remember all the phone calls I got as a principal when we didn't have enough people out on safety patrol. So really appreciate their effort and the extra little bit that they give to the school community. Related to NSBA, the national conference, I know for the last couple of years, the board has attended those. Different members have participated in that. We just got back from WASDA, and as we kind of get the calendar organized for the coming year, we wanted to reach out and gauge interest and let you know that that event was occurring right at the start of our spring break here in Othello. But we're going to encourage you to reach out to Marisa if you were interested in attending that, and we would begin to make arrangements for the board and for student reps as well.
Where is this year's conference at?
I believe this year's conference is in Orlando.
They've also started to post the breakout sessions, and it's a pretty good list that's coming out right now. Some very interesting subjects.
So I believe the early bird registration deadline is approaching. I believe it's our next board meeting on the 14th. So if you want to take, I guess you have about 10 days or so to consider that and let us know, or we could just reserve some to be determined spots with names and whatnot.
Thank you for that update. Okay, we are going to move on to B4, student representative reports. Gael.
So after the questions that I had asked Ms. Hutchinson, she reached out to me and she said she wanted to meet with me. And I was kind of talking to her about some of the things that I had in mind. And she really liked the Cookie for Your Thought idea. And it really seems like she wants to integrate it, maybe even starting this January. Maybe getting some times if you guys would be available. She said she would be thrilled to provide the cookies and be there if that's something you guys would want to participate in. And she's also wanting to meet with me and Jaden tomorrow to discuss some ways to help us for the kids to feel more comfortable reaching out to us if they have a problem, even families as well. If they have any problems, concerns, questions, and stuff like that. Yeah, that's all I have.
Wonderful, thank you. When you meet with her, could you come up with a couple of dates and then come back? Are you planning on coming to the meeting on the 14th? It's in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
If you could have some dates that we could check our calendars or bring our calendars to be able to check them.
Okay.
For those that aren't digital.
Oh.
And then maybe we could schedule the next few, however often you and she thinks. I think that would be great to be all at the same table and get some information.
Okay, yeah, sounds good.
So does that work with the rest of the board?
Sounds good.
Yeah, then we can at least have some plans. Wonderful. All right, we're going to move on to C1, required approvals. Any questions first? I have no questions. I'm excited to have a wireless bid that we're ready to approve.
Then I will make the motion to approve required approvals.
And I will second that.
All right, all in favor of approving required approvals?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0. And moving on to C2, superintendent informational items.
Just one brief item this evening. I wanted to give some detail as it relates to the strategic planning process that I've shared with you a number of times. I know one of the shared experiences we had at WASDA was to listen to a school district who has been down that road for the last couple of years. So I think there was some energy and momentum from that session that some of the board members got to attend. This is also an item that we shared on orientation day with the entire district, letting them know that this process was going to unfold over the coming months. And so I want to let you know where we're at and give you a realistic timeline and a picture of how this is all going to play out. We really won't be getting going with the process too heavily until the spring of this year. There will certainly be individual meetings between Dr. Tammy Campbell, who is assisting us with this work, and myself. That's primarily to understand the history of where the district's been the last 5 years or so. We're not starting over. I don't want people to get that picture. It's really about coherence and taking what we have been doing and what we hope to do and tying some real specific goals and student outcomes to that work. So the first few months there, you'll see April, May, June, and July, even into August. It's planning for what next school year will look like. Because the real important part of this work is going to happen in October, November, and December. And that's when we're engaging with the community, with our employees, with our parents, with our families, all of those folks, getting their opinions and ideas about what outcomes they expect for our students and the return on investment that they expect for the work that we're doing. There will be thousands of interviews, we hope, to gather that information and data to sort through in December, January, February, and March before we bring a product to the board for their consideration of approval in May of 2024. So it's a ways down the road. It's a lengthy process when it's done right. But again, as people have heard us talk about this, and I know the board has, I want you to have a realistic picture of what this is going to look and feel like in the coming months.
Any questions or comments on that?
I just think we've already started going to that strategic meeting. I felt like we were on top of it already. Didn't you think so, Ken?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think we're ready to go.
Wonderful to see timelines and plans coming together. Wonderful. Thank you. All right, moving on to D1, Ludakaga Elementary School report. And if you need to all reorganize where you're sitting and everything or standing, feel free.
We sat in order so they'd be ready. So I'm Jen Perez, the principal at Ludakaga, and this is Amy Wright, the assistant principal. And we're really excited to have a whole huge crew of our staff, our teachers and support staff to be here to share the work at Ludakaga. Oftentimes you get to hear from myself and Amy, and we're not the stars of the show in each of the classrooms and all the work that happen. It's everything that these guys do to implement and support our students. And so our hope today is to share the work we're working on and be able to answer any questions that you might have at the end. So I want to introduce everybody. This is Amaris Garza, our counselor, and then Caitlin Daniel, a first grade, I'm moving you up, kindergarten English teacher. Norma Rodriguez, she is our home visitor in the office. And then we have Gabby Zamora, she's a 5th grade Spanish teacher. Jose Alonso, also a 5th grade Spanish teacher. Marisela Valdez, 1st grade English I'm changing languages too. 1st grade Spanish teacher. And then we have Marcy Gonzalez and Marivela, and they're our K3 instructional specialists. So we're going to get started sharing with you about the work we're doing at Ludakaga.
So we have hit the ground running this year with lots of planning and preparation, along with other arduous work that the teachers have put in, which you'll hear about shortly. Some major things happening for social emotional learning at our school this year include Second Steps SEL program, additional clubs, and the Ron Clark Academy house system. And so before we began school, we implemented some busy training days where teachers had some time to plan out their calendar for Second Steps in the classroom. We also have sent letters home regarding what students would be learning in the classrooms, and some examples of the topics that they cover are focusing attention, communicating with respect, problem solving, positive self-talk, and bullying. Hopefully a good start to keep Second Steps going for years to come as the program is made to build as the students move up in grades. Also, our amazing school specialists have initiated clubs during recess. That not only allows the students to explore their interests, but also connect with others that they may not normally connect with during recess. So we have Mr. O'Brady, our technology teacher, that has a pretty good group going with animations. In particular, they are also doing like NASA. They're interested in NASA, so they're watching the orbital path of Artemis, which is the largest rocket to date. And then some of those students also got to build their own paper rockets, and they had like a little launching party too. Mrs. Beezer is running our lovely marimba. If you haven't heard them, they're great, and she does that with 5th and 6th graders. Mr. Ochoa started a fun checkers club. Mrs. Martinez in the library runs the recycling club and also has library help day and shares her love for reading with a library club as well. We have our creative Mrs. Tucker, who does art club, and she does 1 grade per day for students who have an interest in art. And then we have our vibrant Mrs. Daniel here, who's gonna talk about some other things happening at Ludakaga.
A big part of the social emotional learning piece that we're really pushing at Ludakaga this year is our house systems. And so this year we implemented the house system. So it's 4 houses. So we have Rever and Amistad, Altruismo, and Isavendi. The heart behind the house system is belonging. We want our kids to know that they have a safe place, that they belong. And so the house system, they're all sorted 1st through 6th grade. Kinder gets to learn about it throughout the year, and then at the end of the year, we're going to have a sorting party. So I'm looking forward to that. And so they get sorted into their house. And throughout the year, it is a chance for them to connect with kiddos that they normally don't connect with across grade levels and classes, and then staff. So we're all here representing our house, and these are the kids that we get to hang out with. We get to hang out with our houses. And so it's a cool opportunity for them to create connections that they might not otherwise create. A part of that also is building character. They're earning house points, so it is a little bit of a competition. And so they're earning points for good behavior, for attendance, for meeting their academic goals. There's lots of things they can earn house points for. School spirit. Right now we're doing a food can drive at the school that they're earning house points for all the cans that they're bringing. And so the winter, we have house parties, and we have had 2 celebrations this year, and so they get to earn these house parties. And it's just a really cool way for our students to feel like they are a part of something bigger than themselves, and not just, you know, this giant school with a bunch of students, but that they have a place that they know that they're loved and valued and that they're believed in. And so that's really the heart behind our house system. We're looking forward to more of what that looks like. This is the first year that we're full-blown implemented, and it's been really fun. Something else that we're doing, a part of social emotional learning and kind of a breakdown from that belonging idea of the house systems, is we're doing friendship groups and lunch bunches is what we call it. So we're taking kids on a smaller scale. There's a 6th grade lunch bunch, a 3rd grade lunch bunch, and then I get to hang out with a 1st grade lunch bunch. And we just get together once a month, and they just get to know that there's adults who really care about them and believe in them and get to know them on a more personal level. And I'm excited for the relationships that we get to create as adults with our students in a more intimate setting, but also them with each other, watching them interact and hearing each other's stories. And kids that wouldn't normally play together are getting to hear each other's stories and just getting to experience that together. And so we're really passionate about belonging and what that means for our kiddos. A big part of that is getting our kids to school. And so Norma is going to share about attendance and our targets and our standing in regards to attendance at Ludokaga.
Thank you. Good afternoon, or good evening. At Dakaga, I do the attendance. This chart shows our average attendance rates by grade level. Regular attendance as defined by OSPI as having an average less than 2 absences per month. We strive to have 95% average attendance rates. We need help from our parents and families to reach that goal. We know that students have had the flu or other illnesses. We see more families keeping sick kiddos home, which really help everyone else stay healthy. However, we also see a trend that many students are being picked up before the end of our school day for health appointments or other personal reasons. Let's break that down to what attendance looks like on a daily basis. On a daily basis in the month of October, at the beginning of school, we would have about 26 students absent. By the end of the school day, we have 39 students absent. Students left early, went home ill, were picked up for a variety of reasons. Our average daily attendance rate as a school was 93% in the month of October. In the month of November, we found that on a daily basis at the beginning of the school day, we had about 45 students that were absent. By the end of the school day, we had about 55 students absent due to leaving early for a variety of reasons. Our average daily attendance rate as a school was 90% in the month of November. My daily job throughout what I do at school is I have to wait for all the attendance to be entered through Skyward from the teachers. And once that is done, I run my report. In that report, what I do is I adjust parents that have called in to excuse their child, whether it be illness or personal. Parents that have called to leave messages on my voicemail or on our voicemails to excuse them. Throughout the day, when I finish doing my other duties, I also call parents back that have not called to excuse their child to find out why the child is not in school. And I try to educate the parents on, as well as bringing them to school on time. We do have quite a bit of tardies, and I try to tell the parents that it's very important to the students to be on time, just to get them to get that ethic there, to be on time. A lot of our grade levels have small groups in the morning, and so they're missing that instructional time during the morning when they get there late. And in the evenings, in the afternoons, throughout the day, I am adjusting as kids are leaving. By the end of the day, I'm like literally taking away adjusting 25 students that have gone for the day. And towards the end of the day, there's groups, there's math groups, there's intervention, there's reading, and so that suffers their learning. And I try to tell these parents that we understand that kids are sick and keep them home, But if your child is not sick, please make sure that they get to school on time so that they are getting all the education that they need so that they are able to meet the standards for our school.
As you heard, attendance is very important for student learning, along with teacher PLC time. This school year's PLC work has been a very helpful reset. As a newer teacher and having a partner teacher, the recent trainings have helped our team structure our data meetings and guide us through our teacher clarity work. We're currently working on creating a math system that is functional and sustainable. Understanding the MTSS pyramid and our student data helps our team plan instruction and assessments. Our current goal is for 80% of our students to meet the standard the first time we teach in core instruction. To ensure this success, we are constantly working on our scope and sequence, daily exit tickets, and along with daily communication between our partner teacher. Our unique way to learn in 2 languages requires for us to communicate daily and share daily student progress. This information is important for instruction the following day. Structuring small groups in math allows me to support students that need extra time and guidance during core instruction. It also allows those students who are ready to practice with a partner and work independently supporting each other, which is the dakaga way, allowing students to learn from each other in both languages. I in particular love finding games that engage students to allow them to learn and have fun at the same time. After playing a recent game called Race to the Finish, I heard students make the following comments. I don't give up in math anymore. Math is so fun. I finally get it now. I worked so hard on this problem. I invite you to visit our classrooms frequently and see the hard work that our students are doing in both languages.
So we know that our school is a dual language school. You know that we teach in English and Spanish, but did you know that our dual language is an additive program to our multilingual students? Additive bilingualism is when a student's first language continues to be developed while learning their second language. Students have the opportunities to use both languages inside and outside of our school, and they have a desire to maintain both of them. Language acquisition research suggests that dual languages are the best way to support multilingual students. One of the areas our school district is focusing is on supporting students who are English language learners or multilingual learners. At dakaga, we're mindful that our students don't come with a deficit. Instead, they come to us with a repertoire of language skills and cultural experiences that will contribute to our learning environment. We are supporting our students who join our community from other countries and have little or no English language. So over the summer, a lot of our teachers attended trainings regarding our dakaga ways, and this included the math instruction, LA instruction, MTSS, the house system, our dual language program goals, and commitment to building literacy across all content areas. This work did not stop at the end of the summer. It is an ongoing process, and it continues during all PLC, staff meetings, and lit days. Through this work, we are committed to some of the following language supports for our students. We have a K6 vertical alignment with chants and gestures. David Spencer was very kind in helping us record videos so that we can have those chants and gestures school-wide and have them practice and support our teachers and students. Our teachers have also purposeful partners or groups, also known as language buddies. These partnerships provide language and academic support for all students. During your visit, you might have noticed our anchor charts. These are content and vocabulary-rich charts that our students can use and refer back throughout the units of study. Another support that you might have seen are the cognate charts. Primary grades and upper grades differ in complexity. In the primary grades, we focus on the similarities and differences of the words, but in the upper grades, we go deeper, noting the patterns and differences across languages. Sentence frames and paragraph frames are another way to support the language use and development in our classroom. As you can see, our school is committed to use what the students bring and develop those skills as we work towards reaching biliteracy across all content areas.
Hi, good evening. I am Senora Valdez, and I want to share about how we are working on feedback at Dakaga. We have many forms of feedback that we are using as a school. Classroom walks. Our administrators, coaches, and K-3 instructional specialists come to provide feedback. When I receive feedback from our administration, it helps me to see my lesson from someone else's point of view and reflect on my lesson on a deeper level. This feedback comes to me via email. I have received emails that state, keep it going, keep it up. I get reassurance that I am making a difference. And also receive an extension idea or suggestions at times that I have put into practice and implemented next time. I also get a question and I reply. This is a form of communication and helpful feedback. Student data. In another form of feedback, on the slide here, you see a glimpse sample of my student data for whole group Spanish language arts instruction. I use this assessment data to help me understand which students are mastering the letter names and sounds we have worked on. So I work on every 10 lessons, I stop and I do this assessment. And so I share this assessment with my K1 specialists, and they entered for me on this data right away. And so I take a glimpse and see all my students. I look at how they're doing. Every day I teach a sound, a new sound. And so it's very rewarding to me to see that my students are mastering those letter names and sounds of my 10 previous lessons. It's a lot to celebrate my students. When I look at this data on this last column of omitting the final syllable, I also realized that this was not strongly taught through our instructional program. So now I am planning to add this element into my instruction. Working as a first grade team during PLC, we are constantly using student data as feedback. During our PLC time, we are working on analyzing our math data to inform our instruction. As a team, we have made adjustments. We have made adjustments to our instruction based on our math data and have already added a week to reteach previously and had a meeting and analyzed data again to see that we got more students with mastery in our assessment the second time around. In our leadership team meetings, we use the plus delta protocol as a form of feedback. For example, we had an assembly to kick off our Kids Heart Challenge. The leadership team used the plus delta protocol to think about what went well and what we needed to work on. Using that information, we made adjustments to student seating and sent out the expectations for everyone to review and practice. At our next assembly, we noticed improvement in student behavior. Thank you. And now I'm gonna give the microphone to my administrator.
All right. As you can hear, our team is amazing, and I really appreciate all that they've shared so far. And I'm excited to wrap it up with student data with Marcy and Madi sharing some of the growth. We do always work at Dakaga to keep our eye focused on the dual language research. What is it telling us? What do we need to think about when it comes to best practices? How can I keep filling up our teachers with what those best practices look like? This chart it's actually a very famous chart. I think I've presented it to you all before, if you've watched any board meetings before. This is the Thomas and Collier graph. This graph represents how English language learners have performed on a variety of ELA assessments. So Thomas and Collier did a meta-analysis. They surveyed data from over 700,000 students to pull together what would really be the best instructional model or program to support EL students. And that's where our passion at Dakaga for dual language comes. On this graph, our Dakaga program is this two-way bilingual education model, which is represented by the red dot. And this year, as Amy and I were thinking about progress of our students and how could we help our teachers see where are we at, where's Dakaga at, if we were to try to look at our data in the way that Thomas and Collier presented this data. And so we gave it a go with our STAR data. I want to help orient you to the graph. On the Thomas and Collier graph, they have numbers here along the bottom. That represents grade levels. And then along the side, it represents percentile. So that's exactly what we tried to produce here when we were looking at our STAR scores. The major difference about our data presented here is this is all Dakaga students. It's not only English language learners. In the Thomas and Collier graph, that's specifically about English language learners. And our staff has talked about how do we look at that data for English language learners and all learners, and so we're thinking about how to keep producing this type of a graph to support our learning and our thinking as a school. This yellow line represents what Thomas and Collier found in their research for two-way bilingual models. So our dual language model, our aim line or our goal is that we would see both the blue and the red lines matching up, meeting or exceeding what Thomas and Collier finds in their research. This blue line is how our students did on the spring STAR reading assessment in English. The blue line's for English. And the red line is how our students did on the STAR reading in Spanish. So you can see that our grade levels, we have some work to do, but in listening to everything we're working towards, the Dakaga way and all of our focus, we're encouraged that we'll see increased results as we continue working with our students. And now we're going to hear about some of our students and their progress.
Okay, good evening. So as you heard, we've been working on a lot of different things, but for me and Mari, it all comes back to our reading, our data, and how we're using the MTSS process to reach students where they're at and start them where they're at and move them forward in reading. So I think we're going to start by introducing a student. We tried to pick different students. I think I mentioned to you as you visited our school that every student is getting English instruction in a small group based on their need in both English and Spanish. So this is a second grade student. His name is Pablo Vargas Montoya, and he came to us as a migrant student. He's an English learner. What I know of him is he's a very hard worker and he enjoys school. So I'd like to introduce you to him.
Hello, I'm Pablo Vargas Montoya, and I'm in Hello, I'm Pablo Vargas Montoya, and I'm in second grade. At home, I talk Spanish with my parents, and in school, I learn both languages. I had to read more slower than I got a little bit more faster, and then I had to read what's the story about it, and then now I understand it. My favorite part of reading groups is when we read for fun.
So Pablo came to us and was on grade level in Spanish reading. And this year in second grade, he started out in what we would call a bubble group in English reading. So he was really working on decoding and fluency. But most recently, as we tested him, he finished a program and he's tested on grade level with just a little bit of need for more support and fluency in English. But he's moved into a chapter book. And so as a second grader, he's going to be reading novels this next week as a starting point. So we're really proud of his growth. Next, I'd like to introduce to you Allison Montes. She is a third grader, and she is a Spanish learner. So she is in intervention. She was in intervention last year as a second grader and has continued in third grade. So I'm going to let you hear from her for just a moment.
Hi, my name is Allison Montes, and I'm in third grade. So I read in English at home, but sometimes it's really hard to read in Spanish, but I know how to pronounce the words, but my grandma lives with me, so I speak Spanish really good. Spanish and English, my goal is to practice in fluency. Something about that I like in Spanish group is we have cold timing and hot timing, and you get to read how much as you want.
I think what she was meaning there is she gets to practice every day in fluency in Spanish, and she's tracking her progress. One thing about Allison that I love is she knows her goal. She's in a group with one other student in English, and she has more than doubled her scores in decoding. So I think that's important to note, that even though her STAR score is not necessarily showing like 30 points in growth like we would like it to, she is showing phenomenal growth in the skills that she's receiving instruction in. So we celebrate that for her as well. And I'm going to pass it over to Mari.
Good evening, I'm Mari Vela, and I have the pleasure of introducing today a student by the name of Jasmine Rubio. And Jasmine is a bilingual migrant student. She is also a student that struggles in everything. She qualified early on for services in the resource room for math and reading because there was such a large deficit in her reading, fluency, decoding, comprehension, everything, including writing. She had English-only instruction for her small group up until this year. So as her former fourth grade teacher, what that meant was she went to the resource room twice a day for reading groups in English because she needed it. This year, things are looking quite different for her. We decided to put her into a small group Spanish group in the resource room. And the awesome thing about that is it was too easy. So I'll let you watch the video.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Rubio. I'm in 5th grade. Something I'm good in Spanish is writing. Something that is hard for me is writing in English. Something to do in reading groups is reading a book. Want to improve writing in English.
So for her, she really knows that writing-reading connection is really important. So she feels like the more she writes, the better she reads. As of now, in Spanish, I told you earlier, she was in the resource room and we started her at a lower level and it was too easy. So she has transitioned out of the resource room. She's in the main Spanish classroom. She's reading a 4th grade level text and she reads 48 words per minute, which is not at benchmark, but she reads with a 94% accuracy. And if you knew Jasmine before, this is awesome. Also in English, she still receives intervention in the resource room. She's currently working towards grade level in HD Word Book 2. Her IEP goal was to improve her fluency from 7 to 20 words per minute in November. In November, it was 24, so she's already passed that too. So she's feeling pretty good about herself right now, and she should. The last student I'd like to talk about is Isidro Gomez Salinas, Jr. He's currently a he's currently a 6th grader. He entered Dakaga as a latecomer in 5th grade, monolingual, Spanish only. He is a migrant student. And a fun fact about him before we start the video is his motivation to learn English. We gave students the opportunity or the choice to have their interview in English or Spanish, and he said, "Teacher, there's no challenge in me doing it in Spanish. That would be too easy. I want to practice speaking in English so they can see what I've learned." So I'll let you watch.
Hi, my name is Isidro. I am in 6th grade. Goal in English is 95 words per minute. I am at benchmark in Spanish. I like to read out loud in English. Reading big words is hard for me. I read out loud so I can practice. I like to practice trigraphs like TCH and DGE.
So trigraphs is one of the last things he's been learning about in English reading, and currently in Spanish reading groups. He is in a novel book study, performing at grade level. In English, he began as a newcomer in Blast 1, or Blast, which is the 1st grade unit, but he's advanced to HD Word for more focus on advanced decoding and fluency, and tested last year in letter knowledge, and is now reading 81 words per minute with 81% accuracy. Thank you.
All right. We did get permission from all their parents to share with you about their growth and their celebrations, and all their parents said, yes, absolutely. I'm proud of my child, the work they're doing, and where they've started and where they're going. So I did want to share that with you all so that you knew we reached out, and they're very, very proud of the progress of their kiddos. So that's what we had to share with you from Ludakaga, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you have or.
You said this is your first year doing the house system, or how's your kids really enjoying that?
I'd say
Do they-
they're enjoying. Do you guys think so?
Does it
Yeah, they're looking
pull
forward to
them
earning
together?
points. They love the PTA had a fundraiser, and one of the prizes was you could earn a house shirt, and we had tons of kids do that, and so now they show up in their house colors. Our kindergartners are chomping at the bit to be part of the club. They're like, where's my house? So they're really, really excited, and we have tons of points. My house won the last house challenge. I'm so excited. River won the one before that. And our student council plans what the kids do at the house party. So it's not the adults planning what the celebration is going to be. It's kids planning for other kids to party and have a great time. So
I really love that system. I'm glad you guys went to it. It really includes all the students, and it gives them a sense of belonging, especially when they have their individual houses. It's just an exceptional program. I'm really happy for that. I see by all your staff here tonight that they fully support what Ludakaga is doing, and I'm really happy with that. I could see your success stories. I like that you brought individual success stories in the kids tonight. It's really nice to see those individual success stories. I'm excited to see what your scores will be. I noticed you said they were the spring of last year. So, and that was after a difficult year that we had. And now you guys have got them all together all at one time, and I'm really excited to see your progress in that coming the next spring. I just really want to compliment you all on the good work that you are doing. You said you were doing a party for the group that has the most canned foods? They're earning points. Okay. I would like to be a part of that when you guys decide that, and I would like to help contribute to that. So
I believe the next house party is the last Monday in January. We have a specific time set aside, but we'll get you guys an invite. And this reader board is how we know. This was the day right before Thanksgiving break that Amy pulled this image. And so that was the places that the houses were in then. And that's why, it's changed. Who's in top today, Emmers? River. So a lot of the teachers will pull. Ooh, altruismo sneaking up? What? So the teachers will often pull up that reader board in front of their kids, and it helps motivate them, your house needs some points, bring some cans, or hey, we've got a dress-up day coming on Friday, you could earn that, or hey, remember your great attendance or great behavior helps you earn house points, so how are you going to contribute? So
I like the enthusiasm here. It looks like there's a lot of camaraderie here between the houses.
And competition.
And competition.
yeah, friendly competition.
Yep.
The one thing I did notice is just enthusiasm all around at the school with just from last year. I think getting back to the normal and plus, you're going in a plus direction. Look at all of you, smiles on your faces, the kids have smiles, everyone, all staff. So everything Ken said is exactly what I was thinking. I've seen the other house program in the school district, and I've seen what it does. Everyone in the school works for it. So it's really great, and congratulations. I think it'll be a great year for you.
Kyle, do you want to?
I just want to say that I really liked the site visit. I really like to see all those smiles on those kids' faces as I entered the classrooms. I really like to see them, actually doing their work but still having fun. Them telling me that they really like their teachers, and me seeing these teachers trying to make better relationships with them and actually helping them. Some kids, not all of them, but some of them were really thrilled with their success and were actually telling their teachers, hey, look at this, like, look what I did. And even, I don't know if you guys had some of that, but I know that I was included in that. Some students were like, hey, look at this, not even knowing me. And they were just wanting me to see what they did. And also a big props to your SPED team. They're really making sure that these kids progress, and I really like that.
Yeah, we have our self-contained program at Dakaga, and you guys all, I think every group went into that program. Those teachers are phenomenal. Our classroom teachers include the kiddos as often as they can, and you hit the nail on the head.
Mm-hmm.
They're an amazing team, and they're really helping our kiddos make growth.
So my question is, it looks like there's individual students on here with like plus 10 points. Can you tell us about that?
I sure can. That's our, those are the kids that most recently received house points. So it's kind of like a little leaderboard. So if somebody in Jose Alonso's room got points and he was the most recent to give points to them, they'd pop up on the leaderboard. So the names change depending on what time of day you look at and who's been entering house points. So I don't know, have kids really honed into like, oh, somebody's name is up there that we know? Yeah, see? So, yeah. So their name will flash up there, and then somebody else will get points, and their name will come up for their house. So.
Oh, how wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. Always great to come to your campus and to be able to go into classrooms and see the unity, but still the differentiated instruction and the personality of every teacher coming out with counting to 100 and having to run, and that process that I could not keep up with kindergartners, and all kinds of just different great fun things, and just to being able to wander around and guided, of course, but just to be able to see all that is always so wonderful. The diversity, but still the sameness and stuff. So always love coming to your campus, and the love and the I can't even say it, the family.
Familia.
Thank you. I was getting so awesome there, but no. The family atmosphere that your campus has for everyone, and that bonding and that inclusion for everyone, it has always been there, but it's so much more now. So great.
Muchas gracias. Thank you guys for letting us show you our work.
Before you go, Jenna, if I could just share I think 2 observations, maybe just 2 comments, no questions. One is that it's exciting to see you all leverage the structures that exist in a dual language school around professional learning communities and a learning community, because you can't partner teach if you don't work together. It's impossible. That's a requirement of dual language schools. The other piece about a learning community is the language partners and the language buddies. And in the structures that exist in a house system or whatever system people have designed to promote social emotional learning, what exists at Dakaga is this cohort model of these kids marching through that school. They don't transfer. Acknowledging a late enrollment, it's because it's a unique setup, and lots of folks across the state trying to do this work because it's not easy. So I want to commend you for leveraging those structures that exist at your school. The last piece, and I think the most important one for me, is something that Jose shared, and that's about being additive in nature. There's so much research out there that by the 2nd or 3rd generation, the language is lost. It happened in my family. It happens in a lot of families. And what do we tell kids at school when we don't let them be them whole selves? When we don't add to who they are, we take away. So you're fortunate to work in a place that thinks that way, and that your efforts are towards making sure that happens. And I hope you don't lose sight of that goal, that it has to be additive for every kid that is at Dakaga.
Thank you so much. Okay, moving on to E1, policy review. A few more policies in here. Any questions, comments about any of these policies? Some of these were pretty extensive changes. Total, not overhauls, but rewrite.
Is this the last part of the 1000s? Or is there more? A little bit, okay.
Still more to come, but we're close for the 1000s. Awesome. Yay. I always want to have the best, up-to-date, everything that fits all of the state laws, RCWs, and everything. So, all right. If there is no questions or comments, then let's move those into the next meeting for approvals. Okay. Upcoming events. So our next meeting is next Wednesday, the 14th. That will be a noon meeting, so we will be having lunch with that, and everyone's encouraged and invited to bring potluck. So, and then winter break starts on the 19th and goes through the 30th. What is the first day back from school from winter break? The 2nd. Oh, my children will be so excited. So will Mom. Okay, let's go on to our self-assessment of the meeting. It's always sad to have people missing for whatever reasons. Always great to have a full board present, but not always a possibility.
Great to see the student recognition.
Oh,
for
yes.
safety.
And I don't think I've ever seen crossing guard recognition before. I loved that opportunity. That's amazing because it's often so sports and other groups that are going to state and stuff. So love seeing elementary level.
I liked Ludacaga's presentation.
Definitely.
And your staff, how you incorporated all your staff to help give this presentation.
Lots of participation there. Love to see those as well. See, we also use our plus deltas. That was mentioned today. I was like, oh, I know what those are. We do that too. Any other thoughts? I think next, is it the meeting on the 14th will be our first official meeting with Jaden? Do we know? I think January. Okay. And then also that will be when we do our board reconfiguration for leadership and all of our different responsibilities and roles. So, okay. If there is nothing else, then we will adjourn.